Good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folarin. We're going to talk about the whole labor issue, the minimum wage conversation. Let's put it that way, genteel way, the minimum wage conversation that is going on. No doubt you might have seen it as well, but looking at the papers this morning, the way The Nation put it, they just had this little chart for us, and it just sort of summarizes the universe of it. They have this little table, one-line table, 4 columns. Minimum wage is 18,000. The workers are demanding 30,000. The federal government proposes 22,000. I beg your pardon, 24,000. I was getting ahead of myself. Then the governors come along and say, federal, 24,000, 22,005. So there you go, from 18,000, and if the governors had their way, it would be 22,005. Labor says 30,000. Federal government says 24,000. So that's where we are. The Labor has alerted us that, look, just in case you thought we weren't taking this seriously, there's going to be there'll be a sort of a strike to familiarize ourselves with this whole issue. And I've seen some placards, on 30,000 we stand. Okay, our guest this morning, in case you didn't know already, the director might have flashed it a bit, I don't know, but Malam Ahmed Moyosore Jaji, political affairs analyst. Thank you very much for coming on.
Good morning.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you, Moyo. And Olayinka Ola Daniels, public affairs analyst. Yeah, thank God, he's a lawyer. Jaji is not a lawyer. It doesn't mean that Jaji is too far behind on the constitutional parts of the every Nigerian has found himself a constitutional student of the Nigerian constitution. So there we are. Government has been working. Labor is actually accusing government of a lack of sincerity of purpose. If we've had this meeting, we've had this negotiation, we've agreed, as far as labor is concerned, on 30,000. We had a labor leader here. Reduce it to writing, please, so that we can, work with it. And that's where it now becomes, who said this 30,000? No, we never said 30,000, it's 24,000. Labor say, okay. Who is right here? Let Moyo take a first stab at it.
Well,
when I say who is right, of course, the more money is better. But government will say that, come on, guys, there's so very much that we have to answer to, including labor. We can't afford what labor wants.
I want to, err on side of caution.
Mm-hmm.
I want to believe labor is right. Because in a situation where the federal government had given these governors bailout funds for maybe 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Specifically go and pay workers.
Yes.
Some of them up till now are unable to pay workers for up to 10 months. So, and when we are talking of a situation where some people are earning 29 million naira per month, allegedly, but if they want to disprove it, they should let us know how much they are earning. The president senator.
You were referring to legislators, federal legislators.
Yes. It doesn't make sense. You are making 29 million. Okay, let's call it 13.5 million, as Senator Shehu Sani put it. 13.5 million in a month. And you are now finding it very, very hard to increase ordinary workers' salary. How much is 18,000 naira? Compared to dollar.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you. What do you think, Ola? On the emotional level, that is an argument that 99% of Nigerians will agree with, on the emotional level. But looking at it from government's point of view, because they will have a point of view, unless they want to accept that, as a lot of people say, this government is very wicked. So unless they want to, unless they want to go with that, which they wouldn't want to go with, it's about the numbers don't add up. I imagine government might be saying, who said we don't want to pay 50,000 naira? But the numbers don't add up. Do you think, personally, when you look at it in that way, is there a way in which you can cut government some slack and then say, look, labor, let's look at this again? Or do you fully identify with labor, as Moyo said?
My take is the government is not serious.
Oh, dear.
Yes. You see, we have a government that is workers and less than $100.
$100.
Yes.
18,000.
No. So I'm even going to the 22. I'm going to the 30. Sorry, I'm
even the
going
30
to the 30
is not up to $100.
Yes. That's what I'm saying.
And the 30 is not even forthcoming.
Not coming. That is what I'm saying. Now, this same government, I don't know what their priorities are really, because you find out that you look at some of these things that they spend money on, and okay, for instance, this same government went ahead to give some people 10,000 to, for some businesses, and entrepreneur. And I ask, what sense does this make for me as a Nigerian? What will 10,000 do in the current situation in this country? The other time, you came to say, yes, because of the benchmark, the dollar, whatever, per barrel, something not up to 40, some had money, that's the reason why they could pay, some don't have money. And back and forth, you had an agreement with Labour to say 30. Suddenly, you feel you can't pay. Now, tell me, sir, this same government want to fight corruption.
Well, when you say they had an agreement, yes. Apparently the Minister of Labour is not seeing it like that. Of course, they're being reticent, but it is Labour that is saying that, come on, guys, we sat around the table, we thrashed it out, we had an agreement.
The reason why I said is on serious government, because it is only a government that is not serious, that will not take cognizance and will not take his deliberation or meetings with some other folks serious. And that is what we have seen here. If there's a table, you had a round table meeting, and you said this is what you want to do, the Labour put their request on the table, you look at the request, and you did not say no to them at that table. You put this pass, allegedly. Okay, well, I was not at the meeting, allegedly, because that's what Labour is claiming. Then, well, you came back to us to say, oh, no, we didn't agree on 30. We only do 24. Then something is wrong somewhere. It means that somebody is not telling us the truth.
Well, whereas 24 is more than 18, not by much, not by very much.
That's just 6.
Not by very much.
That's just 6.
So there's a sense, yes, there's a sense in which this drip kind of an approach is being unsatisfactory to Labour, and Labour is saying, look, if not that I'm hearing them say it, but I can imagine them that if we were 18, you're saying 24, that's a drip, and it doesn't make a difference to the whole bucket full of water. But if it were to be 30 now, we'd understand it, and then we've agreed on 30. Maybe this is something we've looked at, but Labour has come in and reiterated its stance on 30,000. We stand. In fact, we're going to open the phones now, because this is one of those kind of topics where we really just want to hear. We seem to have come to one of those quagmires again. Government is saying that I can't satisfy, government, corporate eye, we can't satisfy all the demands. There's education, there's infrastructure, there's this, there's that, and there's labor, and all of that. That is the argument we've heard consistently from government. But then Ola says that probably part of why he doesn't think this is a serious,
You see, no government,
concern.
No government anywhere in the world can satisfy everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah. We should take note of that. But what we are saying now is that since when has the Nigerian worker been earning 18,000 naira as minimum wage? And what is the effect of inflation from that time till now? So it behoves on those who are running the affairs of this country. When I say this country, I'm talking of the states and the federal. Because local government is just an appendage of the state government.
Look, this is
where would they cannot, they don't have the excuse.
I suppose
with what we have in Nigeria. Because what we are seeing is that the government is making humongous amount of revenue, but they are being misapplied. If they apply it properly, everybody will have cause to smile. Put social,
when you put it like that, when you put it like that, they derive a humongous revenue.
Yes.
Even the word humongous, I can see how the government will be saying, oh dear, I wish more people knew the figures, because you can understand them when they bring Bureau of Statistics people, Budget Office people, and all, when they put down the figures. And I think that should have been the approach. Labour has worked like this before, where, look, we're all in this together, government and governed. You know, we're all in. Bring out the figures. It's our figures anyhow. Explain it to us convincingly. And I think they've adopted that approach and been able to arrive at some sort of consensus. But if I'm not mistaken, oftentimes government renegades on what
the government has been cornered.
This time?
Yes. Because in a situation where, like the one I said earlier on, somebody earning 29 million, 13 million in a country, and somebody is earning less than $50, how can you convince such a person? And those who are talking of fiscal federalism,
yes,
is a misnomer. If we are talking of fiscal federalism, you should look at state by state. And if you are talking of fiscal federalism, you should consider those states that are relatively poorer than the other. Lagos State can pay as much as they want to pay, because we all know that Lagos, outside Nigeria, Lagos is even better than economically most of the African countries. But what we are saying is that we should leave politics out of what is at hand. Let each state talk to the labor people in their own area. Some people might not be able to pay 20 whatever, but the minimum requirement should be about 52,000 naira, because a governor that is collecting 100 million naira as a security vote, and you are claiming that your state is poor, you can't convince somebody like me. You know, it's a matter of priority.
My take is, if the benchmark that was used when, as at the time, the salary was increased to 18,000, was probably less than maybe $150 or something thereabout. Now we're talking about dollar is 360 thereabout. Now you still want to pay the same 18,000 based on the old. No, it doesn't. It doesn't make sense.
That's where some people bring up the wickedness, the whole wickedness argument. But I'm sure it's not that. It's just that
it's not wickedness.
It's not wickedness.
They only needed to be informed that the way they were going is not convincing.
The way they were going was not convincing.
Yes, Yoruba will tell you, any shebi we are now telling them.
You see, I'm going to take from what he said earlier. And if we are in a country where the state lives and relies solely on what comes from the federal government, we're going to have this problem. There's no state in this country that does not have its own resources to generate revenues for him or her, I mean, for the state. But what we are seeing, we have lazy governors, we have lazy government. Nobody is ready to make attempt to work and bring out in that state what they can use to generate revenue, to make money so that they can foot these bills. Nobody is ready to do that. Rather, they will wait for that allocation, for the juicy allocation. And when they get it, what do they do with it? Even when the federal government gave a money for bailout,
they misapply it.
What happened?
They applied to some other place.
Parity differs, meaning that they have their own priorities.
One of them bought a hotel in Lagos.
And this is an allocation that was made for the specific purpose of paying your workers.
Salaries.
Mr. George, good morning, and thank you for calling in.
Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guest.
Yes. Good morning.
Uncle Yori, the average governor can pay 50,000 naira minimum wage if they are to do away with profligacy here and there. This is where the other day, you see, I was blaming the labor man that came to the studio. It is only when it comes to salary increase that they speak out and demand that they want something. But when the governors are misbehaving, they look the other way. In fact, it is the civil servants who teach politicians how to steal public money. They show them, this is the way we do it here, and they loot the money together. But the money that should have been used to improve their welfare goes into private pockets. And they will turn around to be asking for increase in salary. Most governors can pay this 30,000 and even more. Can you imagine how much a governor uses to buy a car? When you see them along the road, they have a retinue of about 30 cars driving with, 30 drivers, and you see how many. There's a governor in Nigeria that has 150 special assistants.
Yes.
Which money are they using to pay all those ones? And the civil servants will help the governors to inflate contracts and bloat them. The money will go into, do you know how many people are on what they call blacklist in the civil service? Ghost workers. The money goes into people that are not working at all. The civil servants, the workers, they know all these things and they cooperate in doing it. So where do they expect the governors to now, after the money has gone into wrong channels, where do they expect the governors to now come and pay them increase in salary? Mm-hmm. That is where the problem lies. And if they want to succeed, they should first address those areas.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. There's the whole, first of all, what Mr. George has just said, a lot of people have that impression as well, that corruption factors into this very, very, heavily. And I also think it factors into opinions I've heard that how sincere is government that arrived on a platform of anti-corruption and has not looked seriously enough at reducing the cost of governance, plugging up all the leakages, things that you have mentioned, things that Mr. George has mentioned. If really we wanted to confront, so some people would think, the whole question of anti-corruption, we could do it much more efficiently, so they think. And then two, we could reduce the cost of governance. It's too high. 30 cars, for example. I'm not saying that anybody should now begin to call in and say, no, it's not true. My own governor has only 17 cars in his own. That's not the point we're making. But the way we decide where our priorities are, that's where this whole almost nonsensical thing about this government is very wicked, that's where it comes from.
You see, we can always confuse ourselves. When it comes to issues like this, people focus on the federal government alone and leave the states, governments aside, as if they don't constitute. The federal government hasn't got the power under the arrangement we have now to act like a class prefect. You, Zamfara State, pay your salary, your worker, pay them 40,000. It is when issues like this come that people will now be saying federal government is overbearing and whatever. This is a democratic dispensation, and we have states that are supposedly independent of the federal authority.
I like it supposedly.
So we should look at them, separate from one another.
And people remember that all of the governors, bar none, they have this nebulous thing called the security vote. Lord knows how much is in there. They don't have to give an account of it. It is what it is. We are not, many people think, yet ready or able to confront this whole issue, this whole corruption issue, mopping up ghost workers, because as you said, these are things that are largely known. Civil servants know it. Those that are colluding, allegedly, with politicians, they know all of these things, and it would mean that all of this would have to stop. So it goes back to how far can we get in a democracy? Some sound is leaking into the studio here, but it becomes, how far can we get continuing to be Democrats and in a democratic administration with this kind of an attitude? Maybe we are our own worst enemy.
We are not necessarily our own worst enemies, but what we should concentrate on are left aside and we'll be looking at frivolities. You know, in a situation where you say you are independent of the federal structure, if anything goes wrong in your state, people will not look at you.
Yeah.
They will pin everything to the federal system. Or let us start, you know, examining this state government vis-a-vis their performances and whatever.
You know what,
it is then you now aggregate it to say whether this present government is fighting corruption or not. Lawyers will tell you that you cannot approbate and reprobate at the same time. It's not possible.
You know, we have a correspondent on the streets in Ketu here, talking to people, you know, about this very issue. Let's hear it from regular folks going up and down. Okay, Theophilus, good morning. Morning, Theophilus. Okay, what are people saying? What are people saying about the minimum wage conversation? Morning, Theophilus. Okay, we'll get back to Theophilus as soon as we can. He's on the street there, taking opinions, impressions, commentary from people, you know, regular folks. Because let's see how they also are looking at this while we continue to, as people say when they call it now and again exasperated, continue to talk all that grammar in the studio.
Okay, let's put it this way. Labor should...
sorry, I think Theophilus is back. Okay. Hello, Theophilus. Theophilus.
Hello, Yuri.
Okay, good morning. So what are people saying generally?
Good morning.
What are people saying generally?
Okay, right now at Ilele area of Ketu, and as usual, as expected, Nigerians are reacting to the headlines in the newspapers that one of it says we can only pay 22,500 naira for minimum wage as governors tell workers, and the NUC, NLC, TUC members protest nationwide. So these headlines, this particular story making the headlines have caused a lot of reactions, and Nigerians are saying that they want the infrastructure to be put in place if the minimum wage is going to be enough for Nigerians. Like as I'm here right now, I have some people who have been speaking to us on this issue of the national minimum wage. Good morning.
Good morning. You're welcome. All
right, so let's talk now. What do you think? 22,500 naira. That's what the governor said they're going to pay. NLC is saying no about it. They want 30,000 naira. What do you think?
Personally, considering the Nigerian reality, I don't believe that 22,500 will be enough. You know, it's even too small. But labor should be fighting the right cause. What do I mean by labor should be fighting the right cause? From my perspective, I don't believe that you know, increment in minimum wage will be the solution to what we're having on ground. The government should work on social amenities, put necessary things in place, you know, because money is needed not for the money's sake, but just because of what money can buy. That's the value of money.
No matter, even if the government put infrastructures in place, don't you also think increasing workers' salary is quite important as well?
It's important, but when that comes, you know, it will not be, they won't be under pressure, because once you have enough money, what is it called, all these things that I've just mentioned, in place, you don't necessarily need too much money. It is quite absolutely preposterous for government to be governors to be saying something like this. If you divide 22,000 by 500 naira, divide 22,500 by 22 working days, it's just 1,022 naira some fractions. You know, less than 1,005. That one cannot even take care of their transportation. So they should be the needful. The labor should be fighting for all these things rather than increment in wages. But the inflationary factor would definitely eat up the increment.
All right. So do you agree to what he said?
Yes. Is a nice option. If Nigerian government are to deal with this matter severely, I think they should go in other way around to settle issue like living apartments, housing, and all those kind of things. Then foods, because I wouldn't go extensively to say the increment of the money. Presently, 22 has no value. 22,005 has no value. Going by the situation and the economy of the country, they will still have to demand for more additional to settle all their wages. They were sending children to school, for instance. They were paying for housing. How do they maintain their cars and many other things? Other challenges in life. Will 22 settle all these things? The answer will be no. But government must come to the aid of a worker that is working. Them in a situation, let's say for instance this country, where you have a father, the mother, and 5 children living in a room and a parlor, it's like sleeping outside. When somebody's supposed to own a room. So we should have a situation, all the leaders will come to, they should come to agree that all these workers should be properly taken care of in terms of housing and many other things. Because this will not bring about agitation for additional or whatsoever in the nearest future, which I believe.
All right, so what do you think?
Oh, thank you so much, very much. On the aspect of the minimum wage, which I need to speak about, my own perspective of the minimum wage is that the NUC, the Labour Congress and others who are clamoring for the minimum wage, I believe, to me and to my own perspective, is not the best thing for now. What I expected them to do right now is to probably do a particular fixed control. We should have a price control in this country. If there is a particular price control, I believe in perspective of...
Who's to have the price control? The NLC?
The NLC, the TUC are there, and the legislative arm too.
Are they saddled with that responsibility?
Yes. The legislative arm too can also be in support of that. And in view of doing that, we can see primary schools, nursery schools increasing salaries every month, even every term these days. House rent and some other commodities are increasing gradually every time, but not virtually every time minimum wage gets increased. If we have a fixed a price control, then after that, I believe any amount that is being passed across as minimum wage can work effectively in respect of any situation.
Right, so let's talk to one or two other persons. Now, tell us your name.
I'm Olayinka Amos.
All right, Olayinka, tell us now, what do you think? 22,000 naira 500. That's what the governors are proposing. NLC says no, they want 30,000 naira. What do you think?
Actually, the federal government release that they can pay is not enough, so to say. And the 30,000 that the Labour are asking for should be enough. But how can this be implemented? It is, I want to just chip in my own idea. If the governors of each state can demand for more allocation, maybe they should take the cost to the House of National Assembly, they debate on it, they demand for more allocation for each state so that they're able to pay.
Will they be able to handle that? With the allocations they have, they couldn't pay the 18,000. Some states couldn't pay the 18,000 naira minimum wage. Will they be able to handle another minimum wage with more allocation?
Yes, yes, I'm coming to that. Of recent, when some states are owing salary, federal government came to their aid and gave them money they called bailout. That solved the problem. Now, that money, that fund should be used for part of this salary instead of giving it out excessively. That's another one they call, apart from that bailout, the monthly allocation. If the monthly allocation is increased, coupled with, that's what they call excess crude oil that they share once in a while, maybe quarterly or whatever. If those ones could be added up and increase the allocation once and for all, I think they should be able to pay the demanded 30,000 they are asking.
All right, Yuri, more reactions, a whole lot of reactions here, but little time to take a lot of them. From everything, the consensus here is that a lot of Nigerian infrastructure should be put in place to ensure that whatever minimum wage is being paid, Nigerian workers will go home smiling.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Theophilus Elama, our man at a news stand in K2 around us. We'll go on a short break, but you no doubt notice that where Ola was coming to, some people have also opined that, look, fix the whole infrastructure, fix the enabling environment. If I don't pay through my nose for my kids' education, house rent, cost of living, and all of that, then this makes sense. But otherwise, it doesn't really make much sense. We'll go on a break, come back, and then we'll continue this conversation. Please stay with us. Okay, welcome back. And just recalling Theophilus Elama, who was at a newsstand, a lot of the things that those gentlemen said, I wish you would have got a lady too, but that those gentlemen said at the newsstand there, a lot of them are coinciding with what we're talking about here. In fact, you were just about to make that point when we had to go over.
I was about saying that See, this is not now we're talking about minimum wage. If government at the federal level, at the state level, are putting the right amenities, the right instrument, the right facilities in place, we are not going to be talking about this. One, you go to school, your kids, even let's say you have two, then you work, they will go to school. Now, the school fees comes up.
Wait, let's say we have two.
Yes.
You know, most of us have five.
Five, but let's
Five.
just,
No, I'm just telling you how this whole formula is going to be very difficult.
True.
But let's say we have two.
Yeah, okay, let's say we have two. Now, you earn, for instance, let's say you earn 30,000. No, sorry, let me take it to the 18 that we are talking about. Now, you're going to pay
because we don't
fees.
even have 30,000 yet.
Yes, the 18, that's what we have now. We're going to pay for school fees. Now, you're going to go to work. Then you're going to eat in the house. You're going to eat in the office. Then you're going to pay some other bills.
Medical bills,
medical bills and all that.
Is there free health?
Thank you. We are talking about free health, free education, housing.
Not free housing, but
not free housing, but at least affordable housing. And all that. We don't have all that.
And you still have to pay spurious bills of NEPA.
Yes.
They're not called NEPA anymore. But you know what we're talking about.
Discos.
The discos. Billing estimates, frustrating meters arriving in your place. You know, how sincere are we really being?
If labor is sincere with this fight, and truly they have the heart of Nigerians there, it's not now they talk about, every time they come up to talk about increment in salary. I don't think that should just be the job of labor, whatever. Now, what we are talking about, labor should come and tell the government, let us have a standstill, let us have a shutdown if the life of Nigeria does not worth anything to the government that is governing them. What am I saying? I'm saying that labor should be the one fighting this cause of the basic amenities, should be the one fighting this cause of doing the right thing. So, free education, housing, medicals, those are the things they should be fighting for Nigerians.
Labor itself, as our viewer George said, has not chosen its battles.
Seriously.
Properly. So there are some things that labor should have been striking for, if you want, protesting about, because they would have a humongous, let me bring that word, a humongous impact on
what labor
minimum wage.
Just doing is notice me.
Sam in London, good morning. Oh, I'm sorry we lost Sam in the UK, but see if you can get in again, Sam. We'd like to hear from you.
So what labor is just doing is notice me. That, okay, yeah, I'm here. No, seriously,
okay, yeah. Because as far as you're concerned, they haven't been as serious as they could have been.
Truly speaking, what would 30,000 do as a salary?
So therefore, that's hardly the issue.
Seriously, it's not.
It's the other matters. That make this 30,000 impossible. That is useless.
As at the time we were earning 18,000, when the minimum wage went to rose to 18,000, well, it was when probably 2000 and maybe 13, 14 thereabout. Are you telling me that what I buy for 1 naira or 10 naira, I buy the same thing at 10 naira in 2018? It's not true.
Yeah, but even if labor, let's say, for example, for the sake of argument, labor is listening to all of this and is saying, okay, we take correction. But I'm sure labor will have their own defense. But let's say we take correction, we understand what you're saying. Even then, that doesn't mean hands off this. Because of that, they can continue to pay 18,000 and 22,000 and 22,500. It's still the same thing. Many workers will say it's still the same thing. So it's not as if we still don't need that 30,000 takeoff point.
Yes.
Which we've said is inadequate. Mr. Yakub in Dokwemu, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Zikori.
Very good.
And good morning to Madam Jaji and then the other girls in the studio.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Zikori, you see, the other time that one of the labor leaders came to the studio in person of Mr. Ajiro.
Yes.
I took him from that very particular day that they were not fighting the right cause. They were not fighting the right cause in the sense that, why you see, every time labor want to go on strike, they always go on strike
minimum wage.
About minimum wage all the time. They forget some certain things need to put in place to fight for. Well, number one is that by the time I will keep on mentioning this securely until this thing resolved. Number one, when Shehu Sani, as Malam Jaji said earlier in the studio, when Senator Shehu Sani says they were took 13.5 million running costs every month, and then up to today, there were no senator come to debunk that it was not true. And then the Revenue Mobilization Fiscal Commission says that this money was not known to them. Then Labour people keep quiet. They were not protest. They were not going on strike to know what is going wrong on that place. Those are the people collecting sitting allowance, sleeping allowance, travel allowance, paper allowance, all those sorts of allowances that was not known to Nigerians.
Okay, Yakub. Yes? Therefore, I wonder if you are thinking that, therefore, this whole argument on whether 30,000 or not, it's not even the issue. They should just forget about it and start looking at the real issues. Are you going to go as far as that?
Sorry, this 18,000 naira or 22,000 naira minimum wage that those governors have proposed, it is not realistic because it is not even enough for the labor. Why is it that, number one, look at it now. Those are some of the government collecting bailouts. And then they use those bailouts for some certain thing. Labor will not go on protest. They will not go on strike that very particular time. They not to know that what this form of government use this money for. Some of government collected security allowance, security force every month. Then in their federal state, they were insecurity.
Yes.
Labor we are now going on strike. To know where are you collecting security force every month, and then still yet your state was not secure, and then you are not called out to federal government that I was not protected by my state, I'm not security of my state. What are you using all this money for?
Yeah.
That is the question. The labor needs to protect on some certain info, including casualty in some country in this country. Casual is too much, and labor are not seeing anything to do to that.
Okay.
Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you very much, Yakub, for calling in. Interesting. The way it's coming, from some contributors, they actually, this whole thing is not really favoring labor too much, in the sense that people are pointing out that labor, you people are not doing the right thing. And I imagine this is almost like music to government's ears, in the sense that it's sort of given a respite, although it's a respite for if labor were to really, latch on to these suggestions, then government would find itself very much in hot water. But for the moment, in the middle of all of this confusion, I imagine Dr. Ngige would just be saying, it's okay, very good. Let this whole thing continue.
No.
But it's not relief.
If he feels that way, he must be hiding behind a finger. Because I just
remind me of Lai Mohammed when he was in opposition.
I just made mention of a system. Let every labor leader in every state face the governor. Because all fingers are not equal with regards to the states we have in Nigeria.
Yes. So, and if all these states want to be honest and bring out the papers, bring out the books, and show labor,
show labor in your state.
This is how much I can pay. This is what we can do. In this Zamfara, this is what we can do.
Good.
And these are all the figures. But we're not ready to be that open.
Who is not ready?
Are we?
If they are not ready, or if we are not ready, that means we are postponing the evil day. Because realistically, in a state where you are unable to pay worker salary for 10 months, for God's sake, what have you done with the money?
And you're getting these allocations to address it.
And the president gave you money and specifically told you that this money I'm giving to you is meant for payment of workers' salary. Though as I'm sitting down before you now, I believe that the resources of the state must not be concentrated on the labor movement alone, because there are other things to be done. But the way we are running our governments here shows that we misplace priority on frivolous items of governance.
Mr. Okpara in VI, good morning, sir.
Yeah, Uncle Yeri, good morning.
Thank you very much for calling in.
And good morning to your guests here.
Good morning.
Uncle Yeri, you can see that the workers are beggars in Nigeria, in their own country right now. This oil producing nation in the world, we are begging for simple 30-something thousand naira minimum wage, which other nations, other workers in other nations are enjoying more than what we are. Who doesn't have what we have? When this present government when they came up from beginning, they destabilized the economy of this country by increasing fuel price. That fuel price destroyed the local economy of Nigeria till today. everything flame up. Now, there is nothing an average Nigerian man will boast of, not accommodation, not a hospital, nothing with benefits. So please, even if it is 100,000 naira, it is too small for an average Nigerian worker to earn. They should put this in place. Everything in other nations, which is basic thing, in Nigeria is an expensive thing. Housing, road, water, electricity. In other nations, it is a basic. But in Nigeria, it's a different thing.
All right.
We don't have government yet. Until they come up and free Nigerians, tell Nigeria they are for them, then we will know. But for now, nothing. Please, let them see to the plight of these workers. The workers are suffering in Nigeria. I'm opportunity to be abroad. I have seen things. Nothing. We don't have government for now.
All right.
Please, let them change. Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Akwara. But still, Labour has served notice that we will begin a strike on the 6th on this whole matter. You know, how the people actually receive the call is another matter, because we're hearing from people who are not really praising Labour. In fact, they are critical of Labour in some aspects, even as Labour is fighting for its workers. Because what you're fighting for, the best case scenario of 1,000 naira a day, aka 30,000, is not going to cut it. But these are ancient statutes on our books. That's where we're working from. And so you have these, in fact, it reminds me of stamp duties and that kind of thing. These have been on our books from colonial times, and they've not been adjusted. Labour has also, the government and Labour, the government in its Labour aspect has also unfairly, taken advantage of that, as opposed to saying that, no, this figure is ridiculous. We need to update for the current indexes and all of that. Probably they're saying that's not our job. But what the commentary seems to be saying is that is your job.
Thank you.
That is your job. Yes. Fix us for free health, fix us for free education, or affordable. Okay, the word free. We'll
call it social welfare net.
Yes.
Widen it.
Fix that whole net. All the holes in it. Go ahead and darn them or do whatever they do to, damaged nets.
Maybe Kokori should come back.
Well, I don't see, seriously.
Let's take Nelson in Benin. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Nelson.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you. You see, Uncle Yori, we are not yet serious in Nigeria. Now, I will start from the exposition from Senator Shehu Sani concerning the money that our lawmakers receive, which is 30.5 million naira. Now, if you break 30.5 million naira, if you convert it to US dollars, we are talking about 28,500 US dollars per senator in a month. Now, these are senators that make laws that controls an economy that is even less than $2 trillion. You understand? Now let's go to US. Now, the senators in US, they receive $14,500. Now, if you convert that money to naira, we are talking about 5.075 million naira, which is even less than 50% of what Nigerian senators are receiving. Now, these senators in US, they are controlling economy worth more than 100 trillion. They are making policies that control economy worth more than $100 trillion. Now, let's break it down. The current minimum wage is 18,000 naira. Now, if you convert it to US dollars, which is $51 in a month. Now, how much is bag of rice, Uncle Yori? Now, even the laborers are saying that they should pay 30,000 naira. If you convert it to US dollars, which is $85, how much is bag of rice, which is 18,000 naira? Now, if you remove that, okay, now, if you, Uncle Yori, if
I
you
see that you've studied this matter.
30,000 naira and you want to build a house, there is no security. Because there is no security in Nigeria, if you are building your house, you will think of putting burglary proof in your house, iron doors and the rest. And all these things, but if there is security, Uncle Yori, you traveled abroad, where have you seen that there is burglary proof in our windows, iron doors? Because there is security over there.
Okay.
Secure the environment, and there is no need to put burglary proof in your house. You can see where is there if your child is sick, God forbid, for malaria. You and I know that 5,000 naira will not be enough for you to pay to a quack pharmacy.
Okay.
Not taking it to the hospital. Now you see, and there is not the transportation from Lagos to Benin. Do you know how much is it? We are talking about nothing less than 4,500 naira. Minus 4,500 naira from 30,000 naira.
So,
you know how much
thank you. I got to interrupt you now. Thank you very, very much, because you've given us, a litany of issues. When we look at this whole matter, I know that it's not working. But when he proved through his figures that senators in the U.S., are not earning as much as senators in Nigeria, well, maybe that's because senators in Nigeria have much more arduous conditions that they work on.
Good condition.
Arduous, very strong, very hard conditions.
13.5 million is just a subject under their overall whatever. So just running.
Senators are working under much more arduous conditions, than their brethren over in the U.S. Okay. But that was a joke, and not a particularly good one, as you can imagine. I don't know. These figures are there. You see, we go back to the nonsense about government being wicked. What was just itemized, when you look at it, it just doesn't stand up. But you know why it stands up? Because it's been done by convention over the decades. It's not law, it's not written down, but by convention. It's like they conspire that they don't know, or they haven't figured it out yet, or keep quiet about that aspect. Let's just continue until it becomes an issue.
Uncle Yori, what stops Labour, the TUC, all of them together, storming Abuja and to say, we are going on strike if all lawmakers, we don't drop your salary to so amount? Hold on, Uncle Yori.
Are we that united as a people?
Are
we that united as a people?
Barrister Monday Ubani has taken that step already.
Yes.
Great. Why? Okay, look at it.
They will take out the leaders and settle those leaders. The ones that will
came now and they said that, you bank, why are you charging card, what is it called? ATM maintenance. What are you maintaining in ATM? ATM that if my ATM crack or it get lost, I'll go back to bank, I'll request for one and pay again. Yes. Now you say you are maintaining that. Then now, it takes the legislature to come to say, drop it.
Yes.
Why are people paying? What is the job of Labour? See, these are things. Okay, now, like we talked about archaic laws, archaic laws that we pick from ages from the colonial masters.
Yes.
That law is still governing us till today. What is happening to that? Nobody is saying anything about it.
I have Mazi Okorafor on hold. Good morning, Mazi Okorafor in Arochukwu.
Good morning, Sayori. Good morning, our guests in the studio. Honestly speaking, Sayori, Nigerian workers deserve a reasonable salary or wages, and the government is responsible for making the other variables accessible. A country where we do not have access to good health, standard education, adequate security, balanced health, and people. Now, we should ask ourselves, this is what the governors are complaining that they cannot pay. They will only pay 22,500 naira. It sounds as if it's just a joke. What perhaps I joke? The governors know exactly. Mr. Jody, let's face reality, like what people have been saying. The governors should know that roads, you cannot finish building all the roads in a day or within 4 years. You build the one you can build and leave it another regime coming, they continue. Not that you must finish everything. Now, even the labor that are complaining, this issue of housing, I think there was a time Nigerian workers contributed money for housing in Abuja. The labor should also tell us, where is the house? Because it's not a question of we blame government, blame government. The labor, they said, also should be blamed. The housing they said the workers' money have been contributed for. Even before Jonathan, and even during Jonathan. Where is the money? We have not used it. So these are issues. Now look at Nigerian universities today. There was a rumor that they will pay 300,000 naira for us. The science student will pay 500,000 naira. Now nobody's talking about that. They don't. Now Nigerian government should not. Education is the ultimate. If you cannot give a sound education, forget it. Now look at Futo or Soka. You go to some of these Nigerian universities, even private and the federal state. Most of the countries that are operating those, they are not recognized. That is, they are not accredited. And the universities are there, vice chancellors are there. Therefore, are not talking about this now. They see students, they graduate. They cannot go for NYC. And I was expecting laborers to go and tackle on it. So for labor to move forward, labor should go and meet Minister for Education, Environment, others, one by one. That is how Labour should move.
All right.
Not to see that, say, government. Thank
All
you
right.
very much. Have a blessed day.
Thank you very much, Mazi.
You see, we have the opportunity of studying governments. Scandinavian countries, that is Sweden, Denmark, and over there, they are the happiest people on earth because their governments are very, very responsive and responsible to an average citizen because of the net of the social welfare that had been put in place. So when you are over there, you don't think of how much do I earn or what, because everything has been made very, very easy for you. And for God's sake, no leader in Nigeria has got an excuse because of the kind of endowment God has put here. We have bitumen, we are still importing. We have oil, we are still importing. Why? Because some of our past leaders, they have refineries outside Nigeria and whatever.
Let's hear it from
So the Labour should face this government, the governments, both at the state and federal level.
Let me see what a Labour man thinks. Let me see what a Labour man thinks about that. He's in Oshogbo. Comrade Ayo, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Okay, how do you plead?
You see, Uncle Yori, even if the minimum wage is pegged at 1 million naira, we'll still come back to this. I've always maintained it.
But how about all these criticisms against Labour, that Labour is not actually selecting its issues properly?
Misplacement of priorities.
Misplacement of priorities.
The problem we have in this country, Labour contributes immensely to it. See, they connive with the politicians to loot our national wealth.
Are you not among? Since you prefix your name with comrade, are you not among? You are a beneficiary.
No, I am not. I am a student union comrade. I am not a labor worker.
It's good we got that out.
See, we will solve our problem if we can do just two things: frivolous spending and corruption. Honestly, if those two things are out of our system, we will solve a lot of things. This coming down to fight for minimum wage every time. Do you know how much a permanent secretary earns? And when you go to Abuja and you see a permanent secretary building 10, 15, 20 houses, and you marvel and say, how did you get this money? Where did you come out? Is your salary commensurate with what you have on ground? It doesn't. And it goes down to corruption.
Yes.
And this is what we are saying. If we can fight corruption to the bare minimum, we will not come back to saying we want minimum wage to be increased to so amount.
Thank you very much, Comrade Ayo. Appreciate you. I've got to butt in now, but thank you very, very much. And also for clarifying that you're not party to all those things you said, because your own labor, your own comrade is from student union government. You know, we're closing now. Labour is getting a walloping from the people. I don't know, but when Labour was here, it spoke for itself. But at the end of the day, what comrade, the comrade from Oshogbo just spoke about here, I can imagine that. I spoke about it earlier. You guys have referred to it. Corruption. Yes, the Buhari administration is all about anti-corruption, but there's still a heck of a lot of it in the land.
Yes.
There's still a lot of open secrets.
How do you fight corruption with 18,000 minimum wages?
Thank you. Open secrets. What people know, but these are not things that are spoken about. Spoke about permanent secretaries allegedly having 10, 11, 12 houses, and how do they do it? Nobody's going to talk about that. Are these not aspects of corruption?
And if you go after him, some people will stand up and be quoting law.
Straight.
Yes.
So this is the issue. We've run out of time. I don't know. When people said, this government is not serious, I wonder, is this people serious too?
Well, because we run a consumption system. Everything we consume.
Okay, we got to leave it there.
We don't produce.
We've absolutely.
And a society
Our
gets the kind
governors
of
are
government
lazy.
it gets.
Let them go and start doing something in their state.
Government
They
are
have
lazy.
our governors are lazy.
You people put them there.
We put
there
them
was a
there.
choice.
Well,
and you selected these
that's
ones.
the reason why we need to stand up and wake up from our slumbering to get them out.
Okay.
A society
because you
deserves the kind of leadership
because
it
you
gets.
freely chose these governors.
Freely? Put it in quotes. Freely, put it in quotes. They should put independent candidacy if they want to tell me that everything is free. As far as election is concerned.
Jaji, political affairs analyst, thank you very much. And the other person who freely elected all these governors that are now being called, what do you call, Ola Daniels, lawyer and public affairs analyst. Thank you very, very much for calling. As well as all the people that called in from home, and also on behalf of Theo Elama, our man who was at the newspaper stands. That's our program for today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.